So in today's video, we're going to be talking about dealing with people, friends, and family who are religious. One of my favorite sayings is to each his own, or to each his or her own. Today I was at the grocery store actually just a moment ago. Just jumped in the shower, got fresh, washed all the outside energy off of me. I'm in for the day. And I was at the grocery store and I was in the spices aisle. I was there for some cinnamon, and there was a woman and her daughter-in-law, and they were looking for cayenne, and I overheard her because she was literally right next to me, and they were looking for it, and then I seen a couple different cayenne, so I just pointed it out to her, and she was, then just very open, then talking about, God, Jesus or God sent me, you know, this woman, she cooks for me. I got a 91-year-old mom, and with all those things that I have to do, this is my son's girlfriend or wife, I forget what she said, and God brought her to me, and I'm so thankful. And I was like, hey, everything works out, doesn't it? Everything works out. And she's like, yeah, God is so good, he is so good. And I said, yeah, especially when you submit, just going with the flow, because although, the scripture, right, is written, I should say the scripture is taught in more of a literal tense. When I'm going to be as polite as possible, and I'm not going to step on anyone's fingers or toes or whatever. But when you read it with a different lens, with a metaphorical lens or an allegorical lens, or as I keep pointing up here, when you read it with a different lens, you take on a whole different meaning of what this life manuscript actually is in regards to you and your journey. So, there have been times in the past where I don't want to say debate. Maybe you can probably use the word debate, that was unintentional. But I remember a time just a year ago, within the last year, where there was a gym goer, some guy I knew in the gym, and I remember just sharing we were talking about religion. He's really, Christian or Catholic, or I forget what denomination he was, but he's, really a God guy, and Jesus and all this different stuff. And then, sharing it. And again, whenever anybody that is traditionally religious shares their side of the coin, I always am able to, not only am I able to kind of accept it, but I'm able to kind of see it for how they're saying it and how I see it, right? So I'm really able to kind of flow with it. And I remember, this particular time I went on and shared my perception of it. And, he then began to say how that's blasphemous, and how, I'm incorrect, and just kind of, shunning away, you know, again, I'm gonna be very careful with my choice in words, because I can speak, I can just, but I'm gonna be very careful with how I say this, because, again, I don't want to offend anybody on their journey. But he was very off-putting, and he definitely let me know about it. And then I remember at the end of the conversation, because I had to end the conversation. I do not care for debate. I do not care for argument. Those are avenues that take me out of alignment, that take really everyone out of alignment. But when you are really here to harmonize with your environment, that is something that you'll notice, probably by feeling first that this isn't right. I don't really care to argue. So I ended the conversation just with, hey, you know what? I respect your way of looking at the Bible and at religion, and but you got to respect my way too. And I stuttered to say that just because he doesn't have to respect my way. Who cares if he respects my way or not? But I said, like, hey, you know what? I give you your grace, give me my grace. I'm gonna look at it how I want to look at it. You can look at it how you want to look at it. At the end of the day, man, as long as it's making you better, as a person and getting you closer to, what you're supposed to get close to in this realm, it's all gravy. So going back to today, or any other time, there's probably been numbers of times in between these two stories that I've mentioned to you where there's been a moment or there's been a transaction with somebody who's talking, yeah, just all the time. I can think of a couple of times in the past, just recently, where people are talking about religion in a literal sense, in a outward sense, when, again, what I know is true is that this is talking about you, right? This is a allegorical, this is a metaphorical story that is really referring to you and your journey into ascension back to the Creator. So, really, I just wanted to give anybody out there some advice because it's really easy to, um, I guess, I don't know, I'm just gonna let it flow. It's really easy to have a pissing contest when it's like, no, this is what's right. No, this is how you look at it. And especially with, for lack of better phrases, these so-called Bible bumpers, you probably want to steer in a different direction. You probably just want to agree to disagree. Don't say agree to disagree. You probably just want to go along with them because I know, especially, if you're looking to harmonize with your environment, I know that it should be very easy for you to kind of see and listen and take in what they're saying and then digest it in the way that you know how to digest it. Because when it comes to just random people, um, especially random people, that you meet, your brother or sister in passing, there's no need to try to force upon a different belief system. Um, there's a couple sayings. I know there's a couple parables in my mind that they're in there, but they're not coming to the front of my mind, where it's like, these teachings will be for people who can truly see them. You know what I mean? And you can bring a horse to the water, but you can't make it drink. And you can have all this evidence. You can have all of the top metaphysical or the top spiritual or all of these different types of beings in this realm that are beyond me in the degree of study that are able to really break it down. But until somebody's truly energetically really to accept that, they're not going to accept it, right? It's like we talk about we live on a globe in space hurling a certain 100,000 miles per hour and everything's twirling and spinning. They have been indoctrinated, and especially when it comes to the flat versus globe, the last thing you're going to want to do or the last thing you're going to be able to do is convince anybody otherwise. Okay, I'm just going to put it like that. So when it comes to just random brothers or sisters that you've never met in your passing, just ride with it. Just ride with it. When it comes to your friends, especially your friends, just ride with it. You know what I'm saying? Just ride with it and do your thing. And we've all been aware of that statement. Instead of talking the talk, just walk the walk. You know what I mean? Just walk the walk. And especially when it comes to your blood, right? Your familia, just definitely ride with it. Okay, you want to be able to show up to, those family functions with peace and harmony. You want to be able to show up and hang out with your friends, your brothers, your sisters, your cousins, like I said, even just your friends, with peace and harmony. And I'm not saying that if the environment and if whomever you're talking to is permitting it, I'm not saying it's okay to have a discussion. Discussion is way different than a debate, right? Discussion is, of course, way different than an argument. So I'm not trying to encourage you not to have a discussion, but I guess you need to be able to read the room in a sense of where that person is, if they're even open to having that discussion, right? Because I can tell you one thing, when you've been on both sides of the fence, right? When you've taken, religion in a literal sense, but somewhere down the line in this world, in this realm, in your lifespan, you've looked at the other side of maybe an allegorical sense or looking at the Bible maybe in a, like I said at the beginning, another lens. You kind of have, for lack of better words, a little bit of leverage because you've seen both sides, right? You've seen both stances. And when you have been and seen, excuse me, I don't know why I'm so like astute today and so, you know what I'm saying? But when you've seen both sides of the coin, you're really able to make a decision from a higher plane, right? Versus just sticking with what has been spoon fed to you, right? And just saying, nope, this is it. This is it. This is the only truth, right? I'm always open for new information. Trust me. Okay. I got a load of books coming. I'm like thinking to myself today, I'm like, dude, I got a lot of reading to do. I even said to myself, I said, I got a lot of reading to do. And, you know, I've never been a reader. You know what I'm saying? I have in different ways, but I've never really been like a reader to study and to really learn. You know, I went on stints of reading. I remember I read a book a year, a couple of years ago, or a book a month, a couple of years ago. But I can see now when I go back and I visualize, or I go back and I kind of reflect on what I was doing. I was really just reading to read, you know, because I know reading's good. Now I'm reading to really absorb the content and the knowledge and to really gain from it and to really put it into play. So I forgot why I got there, but yeah. Anyway, I'm really reading a lot, and basically, you know, just to kind of conclude, as I know it's Friday, I know you got things to do, places to be, people to see. The next time you come into close quarters with somebody really gushing out that literal religion, don't get triggered, right? Don't get triggered, or don't get don't feel the necessity, unless there's a little room, unless they show you like they're open to it, and a lot of people will show that they're open to other avenues subconsciously. They won't even ask consciously. It'll be kind of in code, but don't even bother to go against their grain, because at the end and the beginning of the day, it's all about you, right? And I don't mean that in a self-centered sense, but it's all about you and your journey, and it's all about harmonizing with your environment around you. And there's no need to impose your beliefs on somebody who is already happy or comfortable per se with what they believe in. So, you know, in conclusion, next time, you know, you got somebody, like I said, oozing out the Bible in a literal sense or in a traditional sense, just, you know, smile. And you can even kind of say it, because I was agreeing with her, you know, but I was agreeing with her on my wavelength, on my frequency, when I'm talking about the woman in the grocery store today. But you don't need to go into explanation. You know, that's one thing I've also been learning about myself. I don't need to explain myself. I don't need to explain and go out of my way, because first of all, it's going to take a minute for you to, and no disrespect, and I'm not, you know, I am great, but you know what I'm trying to say. It's going to take a minute for you to get to, you know, my belt. You feel me? I'm a black belt, triple, you feel me? Triple hash black belt. Okay. I can't just go in 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes and try to catch you up on that. It's going to have to be your own path, your own journey. So anyways, guys, I hope this was helpful. I know I got a comment or two on my last video. If you haven't checked out my last video, go ahead and check that out. Just go onto my page, go to the videos, you know what to do. And yeah, I hope this helps. Love and light to all, and to all love and light. Forever out. Take care.